The comfort of your favorite seat is now your comfy car selling command center, thanks to Carvana.
It doesn't get any better than this.
Your favorite seat's the best spot in the house. Make it even better by entering your license plate or VIN and getting a real offer in minutes.
There really is no place like home.
And speaking of home, Carvana will pick up your car from yours after you finalize your offer. Visit Carvana.com or download the app and sell your car from your comfy place.
Man, that sunset is gorgeous.
Grill, patio, sunset. Hard to get better than that. Unless you're browsing Carvana's inventory while you soak it all in.
Oh, burger time.
So sit back, get comfortable. Carvana's got thousands of cars under $20,000 just waiting for you.
I could stay here forever.
Carvana, where car buying meets comfort meets convenience. Download the app or visit Carvana.com today.
This case file, the theorists welcome published author and genuine ghost photographer Tim Scullion to the show. Having completed the work for the second edition of his acclaimed book, Haunted: Historic Colonial Williamsburg, Virginia, with breakthrough ghost photography, Tim brings with him a host of new photos and experiences that are sure to chill you to the bone. Join the theorists as they explore phantoms on film with Tim Scullion in Ghostography 101.
Welcome to Alien Theorist Theorizing, Case File 217, Ghostography 101, with special guest Tim Scullion. I'm Braden.
I'm Zell.
I'm Dan.
And I'm Andrew.
And welcome to the show. A very special guest, author of Haunted: Historic Colonial Williamsburg, the ghostographer himself, Tim Scullion. Thanks for taking the time to come on the show.
Thank you so much, guys. I'm ready to have a great talk with you.
Yeah, man. It's our fans actually, it's funny, like our fans connected this interview. They reached out first. They're like, hey, we got Tim Scullion. Would you like him on your show? We're like, yes, thanks for doing the legwork for us. So it's awesome.
Well, I say thank you to them too.
And my favorite thing is, you know, shame on us. We've been saying your name incorrectly. It's Tim Scullion, and we've been pronouncing it Scullion. But it's so much better because it adds just another level of mythos, because that name Scullion is so badass.
Another layer of mystique.
Another layer of mystique. It's an awesome name to go with. I originally found you when we did an episode on Colonial Williamsburg, and I kind of happened to stumble across one of your YouTube videos by chance in the area, and I just happened to watch it, and I was like, okay, this guy's awesome. I was like, this is my new favorite ghost hunter. So it's
Brayden was instantly fascinated with you.
Yeah. So it's come full circle for us to now have you on the show. So
yeah, definitely. Now, Tim,
glad to be here.
To get it started, like what? Obviously, the field of ghost hunting, not everyone stumbles into it. So what was your path there? Like how'd you get there?
Well, it's pretty much a stumble for me. I've got to say that a decade ago that I was not a firm believer in the paranormal. And what happened was I was working for a company here in Colonial Williamsburg giving tours in the daytime, strictly historical. And they asked me, would you like to give ghost tours? And I really wasn't that interested, but I said okay because I had some college loans that were coming due and I needed the extra money. So yeah, sure. So they handed me a script and they said, here, memorize this. I memorized it. I passed the test. And before you know it, I was taking large groups of about 25 to 30 people out and telling them stories that I basically did not believe in.
Right.
But about 2.5 weeks into this, I had about 5 or 6 people, and they were all taking photos of the place that I was telling my story about. And, I had seen that before, so no big deal, except there was one lady that she turned around with a big smile on her face, and she marched her cell phone right over under my nose. Look what I got. And she captured a full body apparition of a ghost. And so this photo,
I can just imagine you sitting there being like, this shit is real.
Right?
Exactly that. So this skeptic turned into a believer. And I had a few more people the rest of the summer that ended up with ghost photos. Not as good as that first one, but they were still convincing enough that by the end of the summer, I had a mission, and that was to take professional equipment down to Colonial Williamsburg, because you got to remember, a decade ago, cell phone cameras were not that good. So I thought, how much better of a photo could I get with professional equipment? So that became my mission. And the first night I went out was a miserable failure. I didn't get one photo. So it took me a few weeks to get the gumption to go back out and try it again. But that night I got something. And once I got that first photo, I was hooked, man. It was, I want more. And so I started experimenting with different camera bodies, with different lenses. I tried different types of light. And by that, I mean visible spectrum versus infrared versus ultraviolet versus full spectrum.
Right now.
And I started making notes about weather and about the moon phases to see what were the best optimum conditions to capture ghosts. So pretty soon, before you know it, I had over 200 photos of ghosts that were pretty good. And all my friends and family said, well, you should publish a book. You got the stories, you've got the history. Now you've got something that nobody else has, the ghost photos. So that's what I did. I published my first book in 2016, and I was honored by the Library of Virginia because they nominated my book for Nonfiction Book of the Year in 2016. So that was a real honor for me. And hey, now you guys know, at least here in Virginia, ghosts are nonfiction.
Yeah, that's awesome. Now,
That's true.
So Tim, you say you've used so much different type of equipment for ghost hunting. In your experience, what is the most effective way to capture?
Well, I would have to say that full spectrum photography is the best way to capture it. And a lot of these ghost shows, they go out and so you got to go at night and you got to turn off all the lights, I guess, so that they can make the ambience a little bit more spooky than with the lights on. But what I've discovered is that ghosts, they seem to feed off of even artificial sources of light. And so if you turn off all the lights, and for example, if there's no full moon out or anything like that, then they don't have any type of energy to pull from, and they don't usually show up under those circumstances because of that. So the ambient light, whether it's artificial or a moonlight, is very good. Also, I've got to say that the warmer the weather, the more likely they are to show up. And again, you have to remember the ghosts are electromagnetic consciousness. So they don't eat like we do, so they have to find an energy source somewhere, somehow. So that's why I believe that they will show up more readily with either sources of light or sources of heat or the moonlight or some place where they can get the energy to materialize.
Right. I've never actually thought about ghosts like that before. It's a pretty cool theory, actually.
What I was wondering is I'd never thought of that, but do you ever know when you're taking a photo, because you can't see it with a naked eye, but you've got like such a feeling like in the room while you're taking the photos that you're like, you know what, I'm 100% going to get something. I can just feel it. Like, is there a feeling attached to it too? Or is it one of those things where you're just looking at your camera after and hoping that you're catching something?
For the most part, it's looking at my camera and hoping that every once in a while I get a feeling. So it's off and on. I'm not going to claim that I'm very psychic like some people are, but I will say that every once in a while I will get a feeling. And to add to that, sometimes I will feel that I'm touched. And when you're touched by a ghost, again, because they are an electromagnetic consciousness, it's not that they are actually cold, but they have the ability to withdraw heat energy from your body, and so they feel cold. And so I felt that in some instances, and so that gives me the knowledge that there is a ghost present.
Oh, so when you say like, so these ghosts feed off the energy, whether it be light, or you're saying also like it could be could it be your energy? Are ghosts feeding off us?
Yes, absolutely. Yes, absolutely.
It's terrifying.
So would you say like those interactions that you had with paranormal entities, is that all you've experienced? Like you already mentioned that you're not, or you don't feel that you're full blown psychic medium level of a ghost hunter, but are you just experiencing just sensations, like just physical things, or have you felt anything beyond that before?
I felt things beyond that. And here's what I think is going on is that a lot of ghosts have one sense that they like to put out there. Sometimes it's a sense of smell, and I've experienced smells. For example, in Colonial Williamsburg, I had experienced the scent of old-fashioned pipe tobacco. And it has a very different smell from modern-day tobacco. And yet, in another part of the city that's more modern, I've experienced the smell, a much harsher smell, a more chemical smell of modern cigarettes. So another place that it was actually at a church, I experienced the smell of a woman's perfume. Now, that said, the other sense that I've experienced is hearing. I've actually heard the ghosts. And I can give you a really creepy story about how I heard one of the ghosts. You got time for that?
Oh, we got time.
Of course. We got nothing but time.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Okay, here in right outside of Williamsburg, near Yorktown, there is a road called Crawford Road, and I would venture to say it's one of the most haunted roads in all of the country. And that said, I went out there several times to try to capture ghosts at this bridge that goes over the road. Now, while I was there, I was taking a lot of photos, and I hadn't had a whole lot of luck capturing anything on the camera that evening, but we were just about ready to pack it all in, and we heard, there was two guys with me, and we heard a woman scream. And here's the eerie part. Here's the weird part. It wasn't at ground level. It sounded like it was up in the trees. And so we're standing there looking all around because at the moment we didn't know that if it was paranormal or if it was a real woman. But after looking around for a few minutes in the trees, we figured out that it was a ghost that was trying to communicate with us. And a few minutes later, we heard a second scream. And it sounded even more urgent than the first scream. And so we started walking around through the woods, seeing if there was actually a person that needed help, even though we had our doubts, but we just wanted to make sure.
Right.
So about 2 or 3 minutes later, we heard a final scream. And that scream, it sounded as if the woman had been captured. That's the best that I could tell you.
Captured?
Now, the story that goes with that part of the road is that there was a young woman that was being forced to marry an older man, and she did not want to marry him. And so she ran away from the ceremony. Evidently, she lived close by, and she went to the bridge tied a rope to the bridge and then jumped over and hung herself. So people are seeing this apparition dangling from that bridge for many, many years.
Oh.
And what's interesting about that is that when she jumps, she usually jumps right as the car is going underneath the bridge. And so the people in the car will feel a thump. And then they will look back and they will see the apparition of this woman. And their battery will usually go dead. So a lot of people have then ended up stranded out there because of this apparition draining the battery in their car. So that said, what we discovered was that it sounded like this woman was telling us through those screams, and that's why I said the final scream sounded as if she had been caught, that she wasn't running away from this wedding, that she was being chased. And so we think that whoever was chasing her had the intent of hanging her for some reason. So it may have completely reversed the story that was been told here for many years, that she was running away from a marriage. But I've got to tell you that that is one of the creepiest places that I've ever been. And to hear a woman scream and to hear it coming from way up in the trees or the skies or wherever it was coming from and not down on the ground where it should have been, it really sent chills down all of our spines. It's one of the most haunted, creepy places that I've ever been in.
So this apparition, because now we've talked about the ghosts like feeding on energy, so it's feeding on car batteries and stranding people out in the woods there.
Absolutely. And one of the guys that was with me had experienced that. That's why he wanted me to go out there with him on a return visit to see if I could capture this woman. So I wasn't able to capture her, but instead of coming through the visual sense, she came through the auditory sense, and we were all able to hear her screaming. Unfortunately, we didn't have any kind of a recorder running, so we couldn't capture that on any kind of tape or a recording. But I've got to say that it's still one of my creepiest experiences out there, particularly because that road is a known road for drug deals and for murders. There have been like 3 to 4 murders since the 1990s out on that road. So we were kind of on edge as it was, let alone after this woman screamed.
Absolutely. That scream would be enough for me to leave.
Yep.
I'd be like, all right, boys, we had a good run. Let's get out of here.
All right, pull the plates off the car. It's abandoned.
Yeah.
Yep. Earn it.
So Tim, you already mentioned that it's your theory that certain things like weather conditions, probably like temperature, humidity can affect ghosts. Is there a certain time that you find is the most productive for photographing ghosts? I know you said the summertime, but is it just the heat maybe that they're drawing off of, or is it things like does humidity affect it, or barometric pressure or anything like that? Like what do you find are the most important factors in getting good photos of ghosts?
Well, I can only theorize. I can't tell you for sure, but
Hey, that's perfect.
What I do know is that if there is a thunderstorm nearby or it has just left the area, I try not to go out in the thunderstorm, but under those conditions, it seems to be, I guess because of all the ions in the air from the conditions of the thunderstorm, it seems to be a prime optimum time to be able to capture ghosts. Mm. And so I found that that's particularly a good time to go out and to capture ghosts. And other than that, I would say from the spring to the fall, and it seems as if early spring and late fall, for some reason, it's almost like late spring is their time to come out, and late fall is the last hurrah before they kind of go into hiding, I guess. So those are the best times I would have to say for capturing ghosts.
Right. Now, what do you say, because your theory is a little different than this another main theory that we've talked about in the past, the stone tape theory, whereas like through some type of emotional or physical trauma, like a being is like trapped like an analog tape on like an object and then replayed at certain times. What are your thoughts on that?
I'm not disputing that theory, but I don't think that what I'm photographing is as a result of that, and I'll tell you why. If it were, and it's playing over and over again, it would stand to reason that every time I go to the same building or house, I should be able to get the same thing. Wouldn't you think? But since I'm not, since I'm getting different faces, or they're showing up in different windows or different positions or in and around the house, it tells me that these things are moving. It's not something that's being played over and over again like a tape. It's an intelligent haunting. And I've captured ghosts walking down the streets, so they don't seem to be confined within the walls of certain houses or buildings. They seem to be quite active, quite intelligent, and unpredictable.
Yeah, that would make sense in a way. Like, yeah, if it was a tape, you should be able to almost recreate the conditions, and then, you know, anyone who could figure out how to push play could see the ghosts. So it does make sense that they're more like energy beings. Mm-hmm. Now, do you think ghosts are like passed away life forms from Earth, or do you think like we're seeing through like as a dimensional being?
Yes.
Dimensional?
I think both.
Both?
I think that once we pass away, that we have the ability to go interdimensional. And that was first suggested to me by Professor John Mack out of University. I was reading some of the things that he wrote, and he said that all of the paranormal is interrelated, and it has to do with the idea of different dimensions and intelligent entities being able to cross over from one dimension into another. And so he said because of that ghosts are that way, and there appear to be a lot of the aliens that way. And he said even some cryptids are that way. So that's also been suggested by another PhD researcher, and he was the guy that co-wrote the book on Skinwalker Ranch. And his name's Colm Kelleher. And he suggested that John Mack was correct in his assumptions, and he had experienced all three of those things at the Skinwalker Ranch. So I'm talking the ghosts, the cryptids, and the aliens. And so he's suggesting that all three of those types of entities have the ability to go interdimensional, so they can pass into and out of our dimension at will.
So it's kind of like the theory, like Bigfoot tracks lead through the woods, through the snow, and all of a sudden they seem to just disappear. Like they transferred out.
Can you say that again? You were going in and out on me.
Oh, I'm just saying, like some people say when they say like interdimensional Bigfoot, because tracks seem like people have Bigfoot tracks for so long and then they seem to just disappear. And people are like, well, they're just gone from this realm, like this dimension.
Exactly. And you would think that they would have a lot more evidence if this weren't the case. For example, they would be finding hair or scat or bones or something. And you would also think that with the number of people that are out there looking for them, that they would have more proof. And that's why I believe that John Mack was correct in his assumption that they are interdimensional, or we would have that proof that I just suggested, and all these people wouldn't still be out there looking without any results.
Right. Okay, well, I know like you have sent us some pictures, but before I get to that, I just want to ask one more question about like an evil ghost or like a demonic ghost. have you ever felt like a demonic presence? Like some say like demons and ghosts are one and the same, but they're just one's just a bad entity, like a demon. Have you ever felt anything like that?
I haven't felt it, but I photographed it. And I don't know if I sent you any of my photographs that resemble demons, but absolutely. And what was so kind of creepy, at least to me, was that we have this church here in Colonial Williamsburg. It's called the Bruton Parish Church, and it was built all the way back in 1715. So it is an original church. And that place, I've found it to be quite haunted, probably because it has so many graves both inside and outside the church. And so I've gone there quite frequently. And one evening I was there immediately after a Christmas church service. And I was photographing people as they were walking out of the church. And right next to the door, there was a small bench. And on that bench, I captured something that I could only describe as possibly a demon or a gargoyle.
Oh, shit.
Or perhaps somebody might think of it as an alien. So one of those three things, and it was a bright red in color. And hey, I would be willing to submit that photo to any photographic forensic analyst, like the kind of people that analyze photographs to see if they've been tampered with. I would submit that to anyone to validate it, because it was just something so creepy, and it was sitting there as if it was waiting for these people to walk outside that church.
Oh,
and that's what made it so creepy.
No kidding. Now I have the pictures you sent me. I have them. That one you're talking about right there, what's it labeled?
It should be labeled Bruton Parish Church.
Bruton Parish Church. Okay, I have it here.
Let's take a peek at this thing
on the live stream. And if you're not watching live stream, we will describe it to the listeners. So this one is the Bruton Parish Church. It looks like an
alien gray.
Looks like an alien gray, but like, does it?
Oh, yeah. I also captured that there too. So I must not have sent you the one that I'm talking about.
Oh,
but,
okay.
That's okay.
Yeah, right on the sidewalk in front of the church. And if you notice the picture of the church, the alien gray that I captured, if you blow that up, it's in the far left-hand corner right on the sidewalk. You can see it. So if you guys get a chance, look at it that way, and you'll be able to see. So the one that I sent you that looks like an alien gray, that was on the sidewalk going up to the church.
Yeah, like it really, like, just at first glance at this picture, your mind immediately jumps to gray.
And it looks like it's wearing like a dark jumpsuit of some kind, which, we've heard them, a lot of accounts that we've talked about describe them in various sorts of coveralls or jumpsuits or flight suits.
Yeah.
Yeah, and here's the thing. Who would expect to see that in Colonial Williamsburg? What's it doing there? Right on the sidewalk. That's what blew my mind. That was the last thing that I was expecting to see in my photograph. I was expecting an 18th century man in appropriate clothing from that era, in a tri-corner hat, in knickers, and instead I get that.
The Quaker Oats guy.
Now, do you recall did you snap the photo? Like, were you just taking random pictures at that time, or did you have your camera centered on that sidewalk, that specific sidewalk, and just letting it kind of take pictures, like set it on a timer or something like that?
I was taking a picture of the church. I was hoping to capture one of the ghosts in and around the church. I wasn't expecting anything on the sidewalk.
Right. Yeah. That'll be the last thing you're expecting. Right? Picture of it gray.
Exactly.
And maybe he's doing the same thing you're doing. Just out there ghost hunting.
Yeah. We're just ghosts to them.
Yeah, that's possible. And here's another thought. Maybe this is an alien ghost.
Like, that would kind of mean that we all kind of, end up in the same, or have the same abilities in the afterlife of this, being able to traverse the universe.
Yeah, we just become part of
this dimension.
We become part of the universal conscience, and we can just experience everything.
Exactly. And so who's to say that they don't have the exact type of consciousness that we have, an electromagnetic consciousness? And I'm sure you know from science class that energy cannot be destroyed. It can only change forms.
Yep.
Yep.
Yes. It makes sense. Like when you die, your body, like your physical body changes, the energy changes into different minerals and breaks down and becomes dirt. But then your conscious energy, that's always like the debate. Like, does the soul have a weight? Does the soul leave you and like when you die?
Yes. In fact, I have a hope that one of these days that I will be able to capture somebody that's in the process of dying and photograph them as well as film them to see if we could capture the soul leaving the body.
Yeah, that would be something. Like, imagine you just like see yourself rise out of you see it rise out of the person's body.
Well,
No.
they do that with the atomic mass, and they have the atomic mass of a soul upon death.
Yes, I believe you're right. I've read something about that. Yes.
And it's been a while since I read it, but I do remember reading an article about that they did studies with people who were, terminal illnesses and stuff. And I can't remember how, but they had they had them on some sort of scales and stuff. And they had a atomic mass, what they called the atomic mass for the soul or something like that.
Oh, so like they weighed them while they were passing and then the weight changed.
Exactly. Yeah. And there was a change.
Yeah. I mean, it makes sense to me. Like I feel like your consciousness has to go somewhere. But Tim, while we got on the line, you sent us some more pictures, so let's go through them, and we're gonna ask you how you got them. So that was the
Sure.
Breton Tavish. Let's talk about the Monticello apparition.
Apparition. That was at Jefferson's home. That was from my latest book. I did 2 books on Colonial Williamsburg, and then people started saying, well, it's the only place you can get ghosts in Colonial Williamsburg. So I decided to go all over Virginia. In Monticello, which is up near Charlottesville, was a really haunted location. That's where Thomas Jefferson lived and died. And I got to tell you, I got a lot of apparitions there, but that is one of the most curious because it doesn't quite look human. If you look at the head has a strange, almost shine to it, almost like a metallic shine to it. And so, being that this is the alien theorist, I thought that I would send that to you guys to let you ponder and debate over whether that's actually a ghost or maybe an alien.
Yeah, I mean, we're looking at it right now. Let's describe it really quick. It looks like when I first seen it, I thought it was someone like armored up.
Yeah. It kind of reminds me of, is it Ronan the Destroyer from Guardians of the Galaxy?
Yeah, it looks like a jack dude looking down.
Yeah.
Wearing some type of robe
and like maybe some dark purple skin. It looks like it's a creepy looking photo though.
And he's bald and he's got the reflection coming off his dome.
Yeah, he's like silver surfer kind of look to him.
Yeah.
Doesn't it? Yeah. That's almost like it's the head is silver or he's got a silver helmet on. So I don't have any real explanation for that. Just some theories, just like you guys.
Yeah. I mean, that definitely humanoid, but it's hard. Like you can't really make out the face. So if that's like, that's not attire, like he's not wearing something and that's like his actual physical body, be a terrifying ET species.
Yeah.
Just jacked.
It looks really muscular too, wouldn't you say?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Like you can see the shoulders and the traps, it looks like, and you can almost, I don't know if it's a little bit of an illusion of the light, but like, the upper body muscles for sure of the upper torso and the pecs. Definitely see some.
Sounds like you're getting a little turned on there, Brady.
Yeah, sorry. All right, next photo. Woo.
It's a good thing this photo is not from behind.
It's a sexy photo.
All right, let's move down to this next photo, the Travis Galt house.
That one's pretty cool. Got a pretty cool ghost story that goes with it. Let's see, Travis Gout House. That was the place where the superintendents for the asylum here in Williamsburg, which was actually America's first insane asylum. It was built all the way back in 1773. And before that, they were just throwing people that were insane in jail. But after that, they were putting them basically in another form of jail because that's all the asylum was back in the 18th century. But about the mid-18th century, there was a Dr. Gout, and he was staying in that home. And he was the superintendent of the asylum. And when the Civil War came to town, that was on May 5th, 1862, it was said that after the battle was over, the Union came into Williamsburg and occupied it for the remainder of the Civil War. And I found a personal account. Now, I can't verify this in any history books, but in this personal account, it said that the Union officers came in and they just opened the doors to the asylum and let these people out. And this wasn't something that the Dr. Gout, was in favor of. And he was so distraught about them letting these people just go out and walk the countryside. You know, they were obviously insane. They obviously had problems in society. And he was I would say 100 years ahead of time as far as the thinking was about how to treat mentally ill people back then. And so he was trying to treat them with kindness and with therapy rather than just binding them up and drugging them. And they also gave them a type of shock therapy with cold baths, frigid cold baths. So that said, he was so distraught that the Union had let all these people out of the asylum that he took a drug overdose.
Fuck.
And evidently the drug overdose made him bleed from the head somehow. I don't know what he took. I have it in my book, but I forget it at the moment. But he either the drug made him bleed, or perhaps he passed out and hit something, and that made him bleed. So one or the other, but the blood stain on the floor was so distressing to the people that moved into the house after he left that they actually took the floorboards up and put new floorboards down over the blood stain because of the blood stain. And the floorboards were not down one day that blood stain appeared again on the new boards. And so they haven't been able to get this blood stain out of there. So again, there I am taking photographs, and I'm thinking that I'm going to be getting somebody from either the 18th or 19th century that lived in there a long time ago. And although I did get a lot of faces that were from the 18th and 19th century, I get two faces that have conical heads that I would swear look like two aliens. And you guys agree with that?
Yeah, we're looking at it right now. It's like
You know what? That's not what it's funny you say that, because what I don't know what you were taking this photo with, like if you were using a bit of exposure, but like as you've been telling this story, I've been looking at it and really looking at it. And to me, what I see is it's almost like when you snap your photo, whatever this was looking away. And during the time it exposed, it quickly looked at the camera and then paused, which is why you get a kind of a more brighter face. And then the other one seems to be looking away, faded, because you didn't have it in the shot longer. But those two eyes there really look like it notices the camera
looking
being
right at you.
Right at you. So part of me wonders if it was looking away, and when you took the picture, it looked, because it knew it was being, having its photo taken.
And that is quite possible, too. The only thing that I wondered with that explanation was, why wouldn't you see a blur from the motion of it moving from one position to the position of looking directly at me? That's what made me kind of doubt that. But it is
Yeah.
a possibility. I'll grant you that.
Yeah, it's definitely has that elongated head again. The two black eyes. That's-
You do see a faint nose, which, I mean, we don't hear about a lot in, you know, UFO encounters and stuff. You don't hear a lot of descriptions of noses, but like, you know, this could be some sort of in between, you know, like a Nordic and you know, a stereotypical tall gray. If we're going with Dr. Mike Masters' theories of like these are all us, that this is just a stepping stone on the way to that.
Yeah, no, it's that's a really cool picture. Now, while we're on this topic, before we go to the next one, there's a question in the chat. Like, when you take a picture, Tim, like post, what compels you to post something? Like, how do you determine what's compelling enough to post, and then like what's not an artifact or the like?
Well, it just has to be a good enough and clear enough photo. And sometimes I'm able to make things come in a little bit clearer if you can use basic tools like a sharpening tool, and you'll be able to see something clear. Or sometimes if the photograph is too grainy, there's a degraining tool. But if I can't get something that looks stunning to me, that's what I'm looking for. Something that is going to drop my jaw. And so I take thousands and thousands of pictures whenever I go to these different places. And the reason for that is that ghosts usually appear for like a split second and they are gone.
Right.
And so I found that the more photos that you take, the better your chances of actually capturing the ghost. And so that said, if the ghost is visually stunning to me, that's my prerequisite for holding on to it and publishing it rather than deleting it.
Right. Makes sense. Now, there's a couple more. We don't want to spoil all your work for the viewers. We want them to go search out the rest, but there's two more pictures in particular that I want to look at before we let you go tonight. The next one is the Weatherburn Tavern. Is that, I think that's the title of this one?
Yes, Weatherburn Tavern.
Yeah, so this one here.
That was...
Oh, Jesus
one was
Christ.
What the
really
hell is
early.
that? You should have warned me before you just threw that on my screen.
That is terrifying.
That's, you got to picture Thomas the train engine's evil brother.
Oh, shit. Tell us about this one.
Okay, the Weatherburn Tavern is an 18th century building in Colonial Williamsburg. It was built all the way back in 1738. And so this is early on in, shall we say, my paranormal odyssey. And so I'm there taking photographs, and I'm expecting to get photos of an 18th century man and his wife and child. And he's purported to have killed his wife, although there's no outstanding proof. But you have to remember, back in the 18th century, that they didn't have the tools that we have today to prove or disprove whether somebody committed a crime. You know, so there's no CSI, there are no blood toxicology reports, there is no coroner that's going to come in.
You had to literally be there with a knife with blood on it, yelling, "I did this. It was me."
So that said, that's what I'm expecting, and I wasn't expecting that at all. And that is the first apparition that I've ever captured that looks like an alien. Only the proportions don't even look right for something that's a gray, I would say. The top of the head looks too swollen, but
Yeah.
the color is from the ambient light of the house. The house was painted a reddish brown color, and so all of the apparitions that I've taken there have pulled from this ambient light, and so they are reddish brown in appearance. So I think the color is irrelevant because of that reason. But as far as what it is, it resembles a gray, but like I said, the top of the head is much too swollen. Mm-hmm. And if you look at it closely, it appears as if it's passing through the glass, particularly the one eye.
T1000 style.
Yeah, if I took this picture, the first thing I would think was this is a demon. This thing looks so terrifying. Looks so terrifying. Was this picture what really sold the supernatural to you?
No, I have to say it was my first picture, which was at one of the most haunted houses on the East Coast, which is the subject of that video that you mentioned earlier in the podcast.
Right.
And that's the Peyton Randolph house. And I captured a face there in the window. And this was my very first capture. And so I was excited about it, but at the same time, I was kind of disappointed
Terrified?
because the area around the mouth and the nose, it was all black and mottled. And I had done my research. I had looked in the history books, and I couldn't find an explanation for why this face looked that way. But I talked later to one of the guys that had worked there for many years as an interpreter, and he knew about why that face looked that way. He said that there was a man that came in there during the 18th century to see Peyton Randolph, who was a very good lawyer. And he evidently had some kind of problem that he wanted Peyton to represent him in court. And you just didn't get right in to see Peyton whenever you even went to his house. It's like today with doctors and lawyers. You have to wait in the waiting room, which back then was the parlor, until the doctor or the lawyer was ready to come see you. So he's in there waiting, and evidently the problem that he had must have been so hopeless, at least in his eyes, that he pulled out a pistol, put it in his mouth, and ended his life. And so that's the explanation that I had for that photo, why the lower part of this man's face was all black and mottled, because he had ended his life by blowing off that part of his face.
Wild.
It's crazy.
Okay, I've changed my mind. I'm going to do 2 more photos if we don't mind, because now this one is so great. And now we're going to go to the one titled Shields Tavern. Look at this. This is another gray ET looking elongated head. Tell us about this one, Tim.
Okay, Shields Tavern. That's not even an original building. That's a rebuild. And at the time that I took that, it was open as a tavern. And I had always gone and taken photos out in front of the building, but one day I decided to go to the side, and I took the photo from there, and this creepy thing showed up. And if you look at it, it almost looks like it doesn't have any lips or something to cover its teeth.
Yeah.
And like you said, it has the elongated head. And I have no stories or explanation for that other than that's got to be either an alien or an alien ghost that was in that window looking out. And there's no corroborating story, as I mentioned, that can even explain why that thing is in that window looking out at me. But I got to tell you, it's a face that you'll never forget.
Yeah, it's burned into my mind now. That one and the last one, the Weatherburn Tavern, man. Those ones are just, oh man, if
it's looking right at me. I don't like.
Yeah, it's staring at us. Let's meet the picture. All right, now
Up close and personal.
Now, Tim, you also sent us. I want to do one more, and then we'll get your final thoughts on a couple things here. But it is you. I guess you were in the plane, and you took a picture out, and you caught what seems to be a glowing craft out the window.
Yes, I was in a jet, Southwest jet, and I was originally planning to. The plan was to go to Las Vegas and then go to Arizona, and the plane got diverted because of massive thunderstorms in the central part of the country. So we got sent to New York, and then we had to board another jet, and that jet took us down south, evidently down around the lower part of the southern states and out to Las Vegas that way to circumvent the storms. So as it's got to be later in the day, and the sunset was out there and looking really beautiful. And I thought, I got to get a good picture of that. And so I took 3 photos. And in the first photo, you see that glowing object, that saucer-like object. And some people seem to think it's a UFO. And I've talked to some psychics, and they said that they believe that it's a portal. And the reason why they say that is because if you look around, there are a lot of orbs. There's one really bright white one, but there are a lot of ones that are very translucent. But there are a number of them, I'd say between 10 and 20 of them around. And they seem to think that these orbs were coming through that portal. So whether you want to call it a UFO or a portal, that'll be up to you. But that was right outside my plane. And I took these photos in a row, one right after the other, just to make sure that I had a good view of the sunset. And in the other 2 photos, it did not show up, none of that stuff. So the UFO, the aliens, they seem to be there and gone in a split second, just like the ghosts are.
So you're just catching a quick glimpse of like their reality kind of thing, like their energy, and then they're gone?
I believe so. Yep.
Yeah, it's really...
It's almost like, oh, we've been seen, we've been discovered. Let's exit.
Yeah, move. Yeah.
Yeah, the energies align and you get a quick glimpse and then they're gone. These photos are great, Tim. Like
They're
terrifying,
they're phenomenal,
and interesting at the same time.
Thank you so much.
Now, you're East Coast over there with Dan, so I think we're going to let you go here before we take a break. But
I got this is kind of giving me some ideas for another question, if you don't mind, Tim. One of the things I was thinking is, a lot of our listeners, big ghost fans and do ghost tours and stuff. I myself, when I'm out and about, will do ghost walking tours, take pictures on your iPhones and stuff. What are some things you could look for that maybe an amateur photographer or just someone taking pictures might not realize could potentially be ghosts? Like, what are some signs that people can look for in their own photos? Or what are some things people can do to set themselves up for success if they're going on these things and want to capture, some ghost photos on their own phones?
Sure. I try to coach people on my tours. I have a tour of Williamsburg myself, and I try to coach people on how to take photos, and I always point out the places where I've captured the ghosts. So I'm more than happy to tell you that. And the first thing that I would say is you need, for a cell phone, you need a really current one because they are really good at capturing night photos. And that said, the first thing that you want to do is turn off the flash. And in doing so, you're going to have to take usually a 3-second long exposure. So you're going to have to hold the camera still for at least 3 seconds. Now, once you've done that, I found that ghosts do not usually show up in close proximity to people. They're usually farther down the street or they're kind of hiding. And so what you have to do is examine the photo, expand it, zoom in on it, however you want to call that. And you have to scan it, inch by inch to make sure that there are any ghosts in there. And like I said, usually they are farther off down the street or way so that they are basically hiding in plain sight is the best way to put it. And so you have to examine that. And one of the things that you should always look at is windows. And if you're on the inside of a house, mirrors, because ghosts, for some reason, I think the glass in either the window or the mirror is some sort of a medium that helps them to appear quite clearly. So you want to look in each window and or mirror to see if you have ghosts. And like I said, one of the best ways is to download the photos off of the cell phone onto a large screen from your computer and examine the photos that way so you could see it much clearer.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Awesome. All right, Tim, we're going to let you go here, but if people want to support your work, check out your books, what's the best place to check you out?
Well, all my books are on Amazon, so if you type in my name, just remember Skull with a C, Lion. That's how it's spelled, Scullion. If you type my name into Amazon, you'll be able to see my books. And, of course, I have the requisite Twitter page and the Facebook pages. I have Tim Scullion Author on Facebook that I usually communicate with people, and I write my blog on WordPress. So it's Tim Scullion at WordPress.com, and that will show up on Facebook also. So those are good ways of finding out some examples of my work. And I've got to mention that I have a Facebook page, too, for Ghostographer Tours. And one of the things that I do on that page is to, if you remember just a few seconds ago, I was talking about I coach people on how to take photographs of the paranormal on this ghost tour. And I publish photos of other people that they've taken on my tour, because I get tired of people saying, "Oh, those photos are just Photoshop, they're fake."
Mm.
So because of that, what I've done is I've taught other people how to take ghost photos, and whenever they do capture a good ghost photo, I will publish it on those pages, so that I've developed a small army of witnesses to the fact that these photos are genuine and that these people have actually captured their own ghost photos. And I have a small army of, right now, it's a little over 200 people that I've coached, and they've successfully captured ghost photos. So that way I can come back at people that say, "Oh, this is just Photoshop," and say, "No, I could understand if it was just one person, but I have over 200 people that have gotten ghost photos too. What can you say about that?"
That'd be quite the coincidence to get 200 people, I would say. Tim Scullion, thanks for coming on the show. Keep doing what you're doing. We appreciate it. We'll keep checking in on you. And we're going to take a short break on people on the live stream, and we'll be right back.
The comfort of your favorite seat is now your comfy car selling command center, thanks to Carvana.
It doesn't get any better than this.
Your favorite seat's the best spot in the house. Make it even better by entering your license plate or VIN and getting a real offer in minutes.
There really is no place like home.
And speaking of home, Carvana will pick up your car from yours after you finalize your offer. Visit Carvana.com or download the app and sell your car from your comfy place. That's not just the sound of that first sip of Morning Joe. It's the sound of someone shopping for a car on Carvana from the comfort of home.
That's a good blend.
It's time to take it easy, like answering some easy questions to get pre-qualified for a car in minutes.
Talk about starting the morning right.
Just like customizing your terms so your car fits your budget. Visit Carvana.com or download the app to experience car shopping the way it should be. Convenient, comfortable.
We're back.
I can mute this picture of Scullion.
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 Oh man, I'm so bummed we couldn't get his live audio, but I'm glad you got the picture you did, because it really gets his essence. Because it's, if it wasn't with that cool little goatee and his sexy Julian shirt that he has on, you wouldn't really appreciate it.
That's Tim.
That's definitely Tim.
Yeah. Maybe he couldn't find his hat and his duster, so he's like, it's
no
not
video.
Gonna be worth doing the video.
No, I liked what he had to say.
Yeah, it was awesome.
Like, I liked his thoughts on like ghosts as energy, and they need, like, just like we're beings, we need to feed. They feed on energy.
Well, it's cool because the only reason, well, for me anyways, it's always been like you've always just associated them hanging around with haunting people, right? Well, maybe they're hanging out because they need to feed off of us.
They're hungry.
Yeah, it makes sense.
It also makes me want to go back and look at, take a harder look at some of older photos I've taken, because I know we've taken photos where we thought we captured something in like you were saying, the Ouija photo and stuff. So I kind of want to go back now and do some enhancements on those. Now that I have a better computer, I never even thought to do that.
I mean, I don't really want to know though. Like if you enhance it and it was like nothing, I'm like, oh great. And if you enhance it and if it was something that would ruin my life, everything for me would be over.
You,
It would
zo-
be all over.
you zoom in, it's just like this fucking demon with a knife.
Dude, it looks just like a demon that's pointing. Like you see the eyes and the nose. And so that was enough for me to want to just fucking pack it all up. That's it. Had a good
The
run.
one picture that he connected to the guy like shooting himself, like the red picture.
Yeah, that one was terrifying.
When I saw that, I was like, that's the Phantom of the Paradise and the Brian De Palma musical. Like,
I was like, that's Thomas.
That's somebody's
the
face,
train
though.
instrument.
Like there's
Thomas
no
the
way
Train
you can.
Engine.
There's no.
if you look up Phantom of the Paradise, like people will know what I'm talking about, but it looks like that.
Are you talking about this one?
Yeah, that one.
That one's insane.
And if you look up the Phantom of the Paradise, like you'll know what I'm talking about. It's like it looks
Phantom
kind of like that.
Yeah,
of the
yeah,
Paradise.
That's a really good movie. If
Yeah.
anybody likes, Brian De Palma, the famous director, he did a musical. If you didn't know, and it's actually pretty fucking rad.
No, but
crazy.
That one's not red though.
So it can't be it.
I mean, there are scenes from the movie where there's some red lighting, but I'm not saying that that's what that is. I'm just saying that's what it reminded me.
That was what it could be. Wait, let's pull it
could
up
be
here.
a Phantom of
That
the
guy.
Paradise. I don't
That
know.
guy.
Go to that one in the red background there. That's a cool.
This one here.
Yeah.
I was like, that's what it immediately reminded me of. Is that
Well, a little bit. I
Phantom of
get.
the
I get the quick connection there.
the association was there, and I was just like, hey, it's
now
I
pull
should
up
watch that
Thomas
movie
the
again.
Train Engine.
Thomas the Train.
Yeah.
Thomas the Tank
And imagine
Engine?
that.
Which
Yeah,
one?
Thomas the Tank Engine. Is that what it is?
What was that one?
Yeah.
Thomas the Tank Engine. Yeah.
that was the
That's
one you
a-
just showed. The same one. Yeah.
Yeah, that
I wanted
one.
to see. I wanted to see the one with the devil sitting outside the church. That was interesting. Or the demon.
Well, I'm pretty sure he's got that stuff on his.
Yeah, if you go search in his website or his
Yeah.
Facebook or
What do you think he was doing though? Like, do you think he's there to like creep people out, or do you think he's out there recruiting for Satan, being like, "Oh no, guys, come over here, check out this fucking,
he's that
check out
mother.
this ceremony. It's better.
He's the fucker whispering in your ear.
Fucking orgies and shit. It's way cooler.
Come this way.
Sure, we got to kill some goats, but it's fine.
It's no
He's there
big
to
deal.
write rad songs for the devil.
Yeah, fuck.
At least that's how the movie goes.
Listen to metal.
If I went to Colonial Williamsburg, I'd do the tour because I think it'd be fucking dope to capture something on your own camera.
100%.
I think we should do it. I think it would be so much fun, man.
it would be fun.
I would be all about it. That'd be rad. We gotta get dressed up in pantaloons.
That'd be
we gotta get some tobacco.
Tobacco.
We need
Found-
some
I
fucking
found it
tobacco.
interesting.
When he said that, I wanted to pop so bad. I was like, all
That's
right,
like
hold
some
it together.
Foghorn Leghorn stuff.
And then when
there.
he said it
That's,
back
that's
again,
just
he's
the
like,
Virginia. That's the Southern Virginia accent.
That's awesome.
Yeah, great accent.
So I have a Northern Virginia accent, but it's the
Dan,
That's
you're
the
pretty much
Southern
Canadian
Virginia.
at this point. You talked to Canadians so much, you're pretty much just Canadian.
true.
yeah.
The I found his idea or the theory that the ghosts only manage to manifest themselves in one of the five senses, like what you guys were just mentioning. Like I found that interesting that they're only able to at one time, I suppose, from what he was telling us. Like it's
Right.
either sight, smell, hearing, sight, smell, sound. I
Or
suppose.
physical by fucking poltergeist.
Well, I mean, he didn't. He
Touch,
didn't. We should
baby.
have asked him about that. We should have asked him about that poltergeist.
I never even.
activity,
I
'cause-
never thought to even ask if he did.
Yeah, he mostly mentioned like on the electromagnetic kind of thing, whether it's like, in the sensation of having energy drawn from you or from the immediate area, they're thus producing like a cold spot, or that's how they produce cold spots, which are associated with
Well,
apparitions and paranormal.
I like the cold spot idea too.
activity.
It's where they're just sucking the heat from you. That's why you get the cold sensation.
Taking your energy.
It's cool. Like I said, I'm definitely going to put that on the old bucket list of do some ghost photography on a ghost tour.
Ghostography.
Yes, much easier to say than photography.
I forgot about that fucking episode. Oh my god.
Yeah, I was folk dialed in this time.
How
was-
long did you practice before the episode, just in case that came up?
Good
Ghostography.
2 hours.
Just sitting there.
Yeah. Ghostography.
Ghostography.
So that's my final thoughts. I would definitely. I like his theories. The pictures are cool, and it's one of those things where like you can potentially go and get some of those pictures yourself. So then you can kind of make your own judgments, right? Like it's, this kind of case file of like, can you take photos of ghosts? You can go and do it, and you can try, and you can go and do it with someone who claims to do it and make your own judgment on your own photo, whether or not that was something weird. You can compare it to, what you're looking at, and what you remember from the location. But, it'd be interesting to do.
I still don't understand though. Is it like you just walk around spam? Just fucking spamming photos until you
No,
and then look after and
3
get them?
second. No, it's 3 second exposure. So you have to stand there for 3 seconds and then move on.
So just randomly pointing and hoping you're going to get something.
Yeah.
Spray and pray.
Yes.
Well, if you're only witnessing a very small like section of the
Before
overlap,
or after a thunderstorm.
Well, around the ions. That makes sense. I dig that. That's kind of cool.
yeah,
That's
yeah,
interesting.
the energy of like the ionosphere like brings out alternate dimensions, and you kind of see into them.
Guy's spicy, sprinkled in a little science there for everybody. I dig it. That's kind of cool.
He's like, remember in science class? I went, nope.
Hey, ions make everything better.
Positive
Ionized water,
ions.
ionized air. Like everybody loves ions.
Can you get ionized booze?
Yeah.
Why don't we? Someone should make it. Send us.
Check out our merch store for ionized whiskey.
booze.
What are your guys' final thoughts if you didn't
ATT
already?
ionized vodka.
My final thoughts are we need to get ionized alcohol ASAP.
Yep.
But no,
I think so too.
Ion
That's
vodka.
good.
But no, I
Pretty
like.
good. That's cool. Sounds rad.
I did like his theories of that. I liked when he's like, "Is it aliens, ghosts, or alien ghosts?" And I was like,
Oh,
alien ghosts? The alien
Why not?
hypothetical. So the Roswell crash was gray aliens. They died. They are now ghosts on Earth.
Absolutely.
in Colonial Williamsburg.
Well, they could transfer all over the world.
Right, but they chose Colonial Williamsburg.
It's a fucking, it's a tourist attraction, is it not?
Hotspot.
You're dead, you're stuck on
Sure.
Earth. What else are you going to fucking do? They're
I
probably
don't know,
out
Paris.
in Disney World right now. Yeah, it was
Sure.
Colonial Williamsburg was just next on
I
the
know.
list.
I don't know. Maybe if we took some 3-second exposures at Disney World, we would catch a bunch of alien ghosts.
Absolutely. Space Mountain? Things
Fucking
full of
scary.
ghosts.
Makes it even more scary.
Haunted Mansion?
Don't they have alien experience ride? Like there's that is a ride at Disney, I think.
I don't know.
Anyways, I like that theory of like this alien ghost. Just any
Hanging around.
any AT or ET who had come to Earth and has perished here is just trapped as ghosts.
That sucks.
Just fuck this place. So I like that. I like the pictures are interesting. They get you thinking, and they're fun for sure. So I 100% would do the tour. Only if Tim's
Absolutely.
Skull Lion was there though.
Yeah. I guarantee I will be watching Phantom of the Paradise this week. So that picture.
It's rekindled
Watch
something
that
in
movie
Dan's
again.
mind.
I really like
Final
it.
thoughts, quick ones, and we'll wrap this one up. Dan, Andrew,
That's my final thought. Yeah. Phantom of the Paradise. Good movie.
Andrew,
And Tim's great. Tim's great
Tim's
for coming on.
Andrew. What do you think?
I think Tim was great. Like super entertaining. Really liked his opinions and his theory. I thought it was super interesting. It was a take that I've never heard before. As for the pictures, they're interesting. I guess they're open to artistic interpretation. Maybe I'd be interested to see them like a little bit more zoomed out and like get a little bit more context of where this photo's taken and what more is going on.
Fun.
Yeah, fun.
You had fun.
Exactly.
You had fun.
Yeah, I think absolutely.
He's a good dude.
Absolutely. Guy's rad.
Ghosts are still fucking cool.
Fucking rights.
All right.
Somebody in chat mentioned that the area does have great schools. William and Mary is there. That's where Jackie Chan's son went to university. I had a friend who actually went to had class with Jackie Chan's son.
He paid for school himself.
son?
I read that on a meme once. Jackie Chan was not giving his kids any handouts. They weren't
No.
getting any of his inheritance.
That a boy.
He's in a band.
That a boy, Jackie.
Oh shit!
Keep your kids honest,
Jack.
man. Make them work
You
hard.
got
No,
to do it the hard way.
no
man.
one likes spoiled kids. All right. No one likes.
Yeah, he wants his kids doing their own stunts, just like him.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They want to have them grow up with 47 broken bones and
Yeah.
Oh man, I remember watching. Remember the outtakes in Rumble in the Bronx?
Yeah.
Where he, like, breaks his
hours
leg?
of great outtakes.
And he's got
Crazy.
the shoe
Jumping on
cast.
Yeah, and he's jumping on that hovercraft or whatever. Like
Yeah.
Jackie Chan was a bad. I remember watching that movie and being like, he should be Spider-Man.
shit. Fuck.
Like he's like
Fucking
climbing up
right.
a building and stuff. You're just like, that's
Like, oh,
that's
he's dead. They were filming that outtake, and they're like, "Oh my god, Jackie Chan's dead."
Absolutely. Yeah, like that's real though. Like which is insane. He's doing that.
We talk more about Jackie Chan in After Hours.
Yeah,
my bad.
we'll continue our Jackie Chan
Jackie's just so fucking cool.
fanboying in After Hours. All right, who do we got this week for our theorite of the week?
Andrew's got someone.
Yeah, fucking Jack and Jill. Braden, what's their names again?
No, what's the guy that sent you stuff?
Oh God, are we gonna do this?
You guys are such passive aggressive assholes.
Fucking dicks.
Oh, man. Yeah, obviously, I think we got two theorites of the week.
All right,
here.
give him the co-theorites.
Yeah, we got co-theorites. My theorite of the week is fucking my man Willie on Discord for sending me the most ridiculous fucking present ever. You don't have to do this. I tried for him to not to. He did it anyways. He's a beauty. He sent me an awesome mini helmet for Kenny Golladay, great Detroit Lion, fucking touchdown leader like 2 years ago. Probably the fucking coolest thing that I'm gonna have in my studio.
Do you have
Pretty
it
exciting.
beside you?
No, it's upstairs. I'll go grab it when
We'll do
after
hours.
Yeah, my kid's losing it over it. I couldn't bring it down here yet.
That's fair. And Braden,
And Braden, who are your theorites?
who's your theorites of the week?
No one matters. As long as you send Andrew some merch from a shitty football team, you can probably get it for
shitty
pretty
football
cheap.
team, boys? We just
You
beat
can-
the fucking Arizona Cardinals. What are you talking
You
about?
can
Shitty
probably
football
get
teams?
it for pretty cheap. You can get yourself a theorite of the week. So, hey,
Yeah.
Will, congratulations. You're not a
Right.
co-theorite with anyone, my friend.
Ooh, a little bitterness there. Jesus.
This is
All right.
petty.
Things went off the rails a little bit there. All right.
Petty.
Anywho. Okay.
All right. Well, maybe Braden will give his next week.
Okay.
All right. Anything else?
Hopefully not.
All right.
No.
As we always say.
No. You're not done yet.
No, there is
motherfucker.
more. Everybody's favorite part of the show.
Take it easy. If you're not supporting the show and you want early access, the live stream, the Discord, all the bonus stuff, you know where to go. Patreon.com/Alien Theorist Podcast. Links in the description. You can't miss it. This week's newest supporters: Catalino Nieves Warner, Tyler McKinnon. Not Agent Mulder in Disguise is back for a third or fourth time.
Ooh. Yeah, I recognize that.
Logs in for a few months. You know, you don't have to sign onto Patreon forever. You can log in, support your boys for a few months, log off, come back later. It's all good. Braxton Kidd, a full year pledge by Josh Jostad, and a full year pledge by Hugh G. He deleted it. He got me before.
It was Rection before?
Yes, it was. He deleted it. All right. Thanks very much for supporting the show.
And as we always say at the end of these things, keep those eyes on the skies.
See you in After Hours.
Man, that sunset is gorgeous.
Grill, patio, sunset. Hard to get better than that. Unless you're browsing Carvana's inventory while you soak it all in.
Oh, burger time.
So sit back, get comfortable. Carvana's got thousands of cars under $20,000 just waiting for you.
I could stay here forever.
Carvana, where car buying meets comfort, meets convenience. Download the app or visit Carvana.com today. That's not just the sound of that first sip of Morning Joe. It's the sound of someone shopping for a car on Carvana from the comfort of home.
That's a good blend.
It's time to take it easy, like answering some easy questions to get pre-qualified for a car in minutes.
Talk about starting the morning right.
Just like customizing your terms so your car fits your budget. Visit Carvana.com or download the app to experience car shopping the way it should be. Convenient, comfortable. Ah.